It's not seen here. Now, I've been using the 11-inch iPad Pro for about 8 months now, and after my extended time of using it, I pretty much gather all of my opinions that I have about it as a whole. And if I'm being honest, I think that the iPad Pro is the best tablet that you can get in the year of 2022, but I also think that it's way too powerful for its own good. Because when you look at the specs of the iPad Pro, we can see that it is the ultimate powerhouse in the world of tablets. It has an 8-core CPU, an 8-core GPU, 8 to 16 gigs of RAM, and up to 2 terabytes worth of storage, meaning that it is on par with the current gen M1 MacBook. And even though these specs are phenomenal and something that we've never seen on a tablet before, I have one question for anyone who wants to defend the iPad Pro. Where does all that power go? Because when you look at desktops and laptops, the power goes into editing, digital engineering, and many other powerful heavy applications. But when you put that same amount of power into an iPad, the only thing that you can do is watch movies, play games, edit videos. And I'm not making fun of the iPad Pro at all. I think that it's extremely amazing that they put this much power into a tablet to be able to do as much as a laptop, but I'm honestly just pointing out these serious flaws within the iOS software. And see, Apple did a really great job at making the iOS experience extremely user-friendly. It's simple, easy to use, and very understanding to anyone who picks it up. But when it comes to a device like the iPad Pro, I think that the simplicity of the iOS software takes away from the true potential, as it doesn't have the freedom to use an app that truly tests the power of the iPad Pro, which results in a lot of unused power. And we already know that the iPad Pro can do things like play content, play games, and do pretty light tasks, and that's why I refer to it as kind of a waste of money. But besides my criticisms with how Apple mishandled the power of the iPad Pro, I still wanted to give you guys some insight as to how well it held up after a long time of using it. And the first thing that I loved about my iPad Pro after using it for an extended amount of time is the power. Now, whenever I was on the go, I will leave my MacBook Pro at home and take my iPad Pro instead to do things like scripting, thumbnail editing, and even watching YouTube on the go. And saying that this tablet performed well is an understatement. Everything was incredibly smooth, fast, and never lagged on me even after extended use. Also, there were a lot of times where I will forget that I was using my iPad because it felt as smooth as my laptop. I also love the fact that the internet speeds were incredibly faster on this device, and the fact that no matter how fast I clicked on the application, the device never lagged and was always super fast. Another thing that I loved about the iPad Pro's power was that no matter how many apps I had open, it never slowed down on me. And you can see right here, I have all of these apps open, and whenever I go back to an app I used hours ago, it still goes back to the exact same spot, and I thought that that was actually really cool for an iPad. I also love the fact that this is single-handedly the best gaming tablet that I have ever done on a tablet to date. Like right here, you can see that I'm playing Call of Duty on the highest settings, and instead of getting occasional lags and mishaps, it played every single game extremely smooth and handled really well with controller use, which was a huge plus for me since I've always had trouble using mobile gaming tablets. Now, one of my favorite pieces of hardware on the iPad Pro is the amazing 11-inch LED backlit display that is undoubtedly the best screen that I've ever seen on a tablet. The haptics were really responsive and overall made the screen much easier to use. And the responsiveness really gave me some insight as to why this is the top of the line iPad. Whenever I went from using my iPad Air 4 to my iPad Pro, it never made me want to go back to using the iPad Air 4 because the screen felt like a cheaper experience. And the ultimate experience enhancer when it came to the screen was the fact that it also had a 120Hz refresh rate, so it made the experience even smoother. Like right here, you can see that whenever I scroll through the home screen, you can automatically tell that it's much smoother than the average tablet. It feels buttery smooth and will definitely leave a lasting impression on you since it has a bigger screen with an extremely high refresh rate. But besides the smoothness, I would say that when it comes to watching movies and YouTube videos, the resolution on the iPad Pro makes it the ultimate tablet for entertainment and is definitely one of the best that I've ever seen on a tablet yet. And to give you guys an idea of what I mean, I decided to show you guys some examples of me watching videos on my iPad. Using the Tab S7 FE so much because even though I was using it every day, I never felt like it was $500 and instead felt like a top tier 8. Now, the next piece of hardware that I really loved about my iPad 11-inch after 8 months of use was the pretty great battery. And since I was usually at work and always took my iPad with me on the go, I will often spend 3 to 5 hours a day on it while I was on downtime. Again, I would be doing things like scripting, watching movies, and editing thumbnails, so I was getting moderately heavy use with the iPad Pro. And after a long day at work, I would usually end my days with about 35% battery left, which was pretty great since I was using it for an extended amount of time. And the only thing that I didn't like about the battery was the fact that it had insanely slow charging speeds, which resulted in me having no option but to charge it overnight. Because if I were to charge it while I was getting ready in the morning, it would only charge up to about 40%, which was pretty bad for a great battery. But besides that, I had no other problems with the battery. It was great and well worth the money spent. But I still want to get more power heavy apps to truly test the battery, so it'll pass for now. Now, another piece of hardware that I really loved about my iPad Pro after 8 months of use were the amazing speakers. And when I say amazing speakers, I mean that these things were as loud as my MacBook Pro. And to give you guys some examples, I will be playing music on both my iPad and MacBook to give you guys some insight as to how loud these speakers are. We made sure to give you a premium experience. And speaking of the premium experience, the first piece of hardware that I loved on my Galaxy Tab S7 FE was the beautiful 12-point-inch display that was surprisingly good for it. There are many times where I have to turn up the brightness so that I can see well. And the Tab S7 FE did a really great job. There were even times where I was in a house and the sun was shining through. Now, the final thing that I wanted to cover when it came to the iPad Pro after 8 months of use was the surprisingly great camera that actually takes really good pictures. Like right here, when we look at my daytime photos, you can see that the sharpness is pretty great, the colors are very accurate, my skin tone doesn't look off, and the realistic aspects of the photos are on point. And looking at the nighttime photos, we can see more graininess, but it still overall looked really great when the lighting was right. And it is a great alternative if you're ever in a situation when you can't rely on your phone to take a picture. And when it came to the videos on the iPad Pro, I would say that these were easily the highlight of the camera as a whole. The saturation was great, the colors were very accurate, and the graininess was at an all-time low, which I really appreciated. And to show you guys what I mean, here are some examples that I took with my iPad Pro. And there it is, you guys, my final review of the iPad Pro based on my day-to-day use after 8 months. It was an extremely great tablet, but was severely underused due to Apple's mishandling of that powerful chip. Now let me know down in the comments, do you think that the iPad Pro needs a major change in software, or do you think that they should just make it less powerful? And if you guys made it to the end of this video, I'd like to say thank you for sticking around, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe, it'll be very appreciated. And as far as social media, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.